Hey, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are talking reality television. There's just so much going on by way of reality television. I swear, I can hardly keep up, y'all. It's so hard for me to keep up, but I'm going to do what I can with the best that I got. So today we are going to talk Real Housewives of Potomac Reunion Part 3, just a little bit, not too much. I'm going to focus on Chris. I'm going to focus on Candace and briefly on Giselle. And then I want to talk a little bit about Married to Medicine and some of the changes that they're making with the cast. Who's in, who's out? Let's talk about it. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Shiba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. Listen, this reunion rubbed me the wrong way for so many reasons. I was completely mortified for a lot of reasons. Now I need some of you to buckle up and fasten your seatbelts, because this is where we're going to have to agree to disagree. Y'all know how I feel about the Real Housewives of Potomac and the issue of colorism. I want to start with Chris. I needed and wanted to understand where Chris was coming from, right? Because according to him, man, I've held on to this for 10 months. So I was like, okay, I want to hear this man. I want him to be able to present himself well. He has something to say, and I am here for it. I listened very carefully, and I watched him, his eyes, his body language, everything, because this was just as important to me as it was to him. Now, I was not happy with his delivery. Buckle up. This is where we may have to agree to disagree. I got this weird vibe from Chris. I also picked up that maybe, just maybe, Chris can be a bit sneaky when Candace isn't watching. Okay? Doesn't mean he's cheating on her. Doesn't mean he's doing, like whatever outside of his marriage. But I had a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion that, can he be a bit sneaky? And let me tell you why. There are two instances of this married man, asking and inviting single women out and or inviting them to be in close proximity with him without his wife being there and or having prior knowledge. You say, well, so what? People should be able to engage and interact. That's absolutely. But how come your wife didn't know? You communicate with me as your partner, as your wife. And if these women try to go sideways with this, I'm already in the loop. I'm already well aware. Okay? I don't need to have a conversation with you on reality television because you and I are united. Now, I recognize every couple is different, and some couples are a little bit more liberal within their engagement and interactions with opposite sex, but I am just saying there has been a trend of Chris contacting and or approaching women without his wife being made aware of it pre and post engagement. That's all I'm saying. Y'all, this is what happens. When you think about affairs and couples that go to counseling for affairs, it starts very minutely and very, very small. Affairs don't start with people jumping, right, into intimacy. Most times, men start to initiate contact and or communication to quote unquote test the waters. And maybe because you were drinking, you didn't really look at this thing clearly from a sober perspective, right? I'm sorry. If he's working at the W, what is he doing on Instagram at 2:42 in the morning? If you're at work, going through Ashley's stories and saying, hey, you should have came here tonight. I need you to be working. So I feel like Chris can be a bit manipulative. And I felt like he put on a very dramatic display to cover his tracks regarding a situation that he placed himself in. You should not have been there in the first place. You should not have been, from my opinion, as a married man, alone in a room with any woman without your wife having prior or post knowledge. You should have let her know just in case. When the moment when Giselle asked you to leave, bet. The next morning, hey, listen, babe. I pulled Giselle aside real quick to holler at her about A, B, C, D. I had a couple of drinks. I kind of feel like she was uncomfortable. Just want to let you know, just in case that comes up. And that's where I say we got to assess a portion of responsibility on Chris as a man, y'all. He is not exempt, in my opinion, from having responsibility regarding this. I don't think that it's a coincidence that 2 cast members are calling him out for his flirtatious behavior. I feel like I have a deeper understanding of Candace's subconscious issue with lighter women. Could it be, I'm just going to ask, that Chris is attracted to lighter toned women? I don't know this to be true, but it crossed my mind after both Ashley and Giselle shared their stories. And ladies, don't play, because we know who our dudes are most likely to be attracted to, even when happily married. Some men have a type, and you may not have been within that profile type, but whatever it was, he chose you. But when you look at his history, it may not have been you from a physical aesthetic. That's all I'm saying. And it sounds like, Chris, you may want to monitor your drinking. Because you seem to be a bit friendly when you start drinking. Now, I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, but if you find yourself in certain situations when you start drinking, right? Some people like to yell. Some people like to fight. Some people like to eat or munch. Some people cry and tell sad stories. Some people like to talk about the Lord. Y'all get what I'm saying? Chris, if you find yourself becoming a little bit more friendly and or flirtatious with women when you've had a couple of drinks, you might want to police that a little bit, because I would hate to see you in a situation where you compromise your marriage. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I really want to talk about something that bothered me. I didn't like the profanity that he used. I didn't like the tone. I didn't like none of that, right? He had no business cursing and yelling at her, period. Okay? And although he's married to Candace, I feel like he sure did use his white card to go to hell off about a situation that he placed himself in. When you place yourself in those type of positions without a neutral party, it's always your word against their word. They teach you that. And I don't mean sex assault. That's what I said. You shouldn't have been there. You would not have even had to defend yourself had you not been there. Okay? And I didn't like the fact that he tried to make it Giselle's responsibility for his behavior. Then you should have told me to leave. She did tell you to leave. She did ask you to leave. No, sir. This belongs to you. This is all on you. I want to just switch to Giselle for a second. And y'all are not going to like me because normally I do not cut for Giselle at all. But I can understand where she's coming from by way of how she felt being alone in a room with a man that had maybe a bit too much to drink. Okay, I get it from that aspect of, hey, listen, I know I'm a woman. I'm a single woman. I've dated, different men over the course of seasons, episodes. But what I don't want to happen is to place my reputation on the line by being alone in a room with a man that's somebody else's husband. I can meet her there on that principle. I most certainly understand. It's the optics of it. Now, I am not excusing Giselle from utilizing the wrong words to explain what she felt. You know, you got to be careful with that when it comes to anybody's reputation. We cannot afford to insinuate a situation that did not occur. That's you can't do that. You can't say what you did. And listen, Giselle, if he made a pass at you and you decided to keep that to yourself and you utilize the words what you did and you don't want to say anything, you still can't say what you did if you're not going to say it. Okay? So you were wrong for that. But I do appreciate her public apology on that reunion stage. It was the right thing to do. And for me, it showed a level of maturity that some of these reality stars do not have. Some of them will say things about you true and or untrue and will never apologize. So I appreciate her owning the moment. I should not have said that. You were not a sneaky link. That was wrong. All right. Pay close attention here. It still does not absolve Chris from the part he played. Okay, in this drama. He had no business, y'all, as a married man, asking a single woman, let alone any woman, to go to her room to chat. It doesn't look good, period. That's the position I take. And I know some of you saying, well, we live in a different world. Well, you go right ahead. But women get in trouble for this all the time. And guess what they say to her? Then you should have known. You should have known. You knew what it was before he asked you. So I'm just saying, on one hand, we have that argument. And on the other hand, we have the liberalness of it all. And y'all saying, well, they should be able to go and talk where they want to talk. Yeah, but when things happen, people blame the woman and say she should have known better than to go in a room with the man. So it's kind of like, and that's where I'm coming from. All right, I want to talk about Candace. Y'all, I was not cool with the way Candace behaved on that stage. I don't care your reason and your why. There are certain things you should not do and or say. It's no different than the accountability that we expect from Giselle. I feel the same way. I think we got to be fair in this. Giselle, just because you felt a certain kind of way, don't mean you get to say what you want to say. But at the same time, we have to hold Candace to those standards. I feel like, based on years of observation of me watching Candace, could it be, this is just a question, that Candace is actually a colorist herself? Okay. Now, Candace is the primary person that brought this concern to Andy. He said she was the most vocal about it. She wanted to address it, and they all decided that they did not need a moderator. Huge mistake, Andy. Next time, bring a damn moderator, because she was out of control. The same person that requested a conversation violated in that moment. Okay, based on her personal feelings. That's what I'm talking about. I feel like Candace used reverse psychology. I feel like she has had issues with her own skin tone, and she constantly compares skin privilege. It comes out of her mouth a lot, and she likes to provoke. In my opinion, she likes to provoke, or she seems to provoke, and hide behind being a darker girl to escape the consequences. Okay? I think it's childish. And I don't believe that Candace is emotionally equipped and or mature enough to be amongst this group of women. I've seen her many outbursts over the years, and not just specific to these women, y'all, but to her husband as well. She has cursed that man out on camera more than once, and it was completely unnecessary. She treated it like a catastrophe when it's just small instances of her being inconvenienced, and her response is to go in for the kill, no matter who it is. Okay. And for me, that is a learned behavior. It's exhausting watching her lose her manners time after time after time again, because she can, simply because she can. We saw it and we heard it with our own eyes. She attacked Giselle based on the color of Giselle's skin. I don't care what you feel about Giselle or Robin or Ashley or any other light tone women. They did not choose the color of their skin, just like just like Candace did not choose the color of her skin. And I don't think Candace should be able to have a pass and go after somebody's skin tone, especially when we're talking colorism. And I think when the topic colorism comes up, we automatically assume that the darker tone girl is always the victim, primarily, right? Most light-skinned women, you're not going to win that argument. And I'm darker, and I'm saying that. To sit there and fix her mouth and call another black woman a bitch ass and almost white is horrible, y'all. I don't see how y'all sit there and give that a thumbs up. From a black excellence perspective, if we gonna call out toxic behavior, we gotta be able to fairly assess it all around the block from all players, all parties. And I don't feel like people have called Candace out enough. And most people are like, yeah, she's good with her mouth. No, she's detrimental with her mouth. You don't have to go that damn low. But anywho, I felt like what Candace did, I was embarrassed as a black woman. It's absolutely trifling what she said and did. And I feel like Candace is a problem. I don't like her on this show. I've tried, but I do not like her on this show. I never really cared for her, but now she's become a bit intolerable for my palate. I do like some drama, right? And I want the ladies to be able to go toe to toe every now and again. But how freaking low will you go, Candace? There's a difference between a comeback and just being mean. And I think Candace is outright mean. And I think she gets it from her mother. I think she learned that behavior from her mother. I think Miss Dorothy bullied her. And as a result, when y'all say generational curses, no, it's not generational curses. It's generational behaviors that get passed on. Let's switch the topic to Married to Medicine before we close out. Yes, Married to Medicine. Now, initially, when they shook up the cast, I'm like, what are you doing? But it makes sense. It makes sense. Anila, all right. Yeah, you really didn't bring much to the show. You had a lot of potential. You did not, I feel like you didn't capitalize on it well. Listen, pretty and clothes is not enough to captivate an audience. Sorry. For anybody that's considering going into reality television, there has to be more. We see pretty women every day, all day that dress well. And unfortunately, Anila, that's all you brought to the show. There was no substance. There wasn't a lot of depth, from my opinion. Okay. So I'm okay with that. Out with Anila. Contessa Metcalf will not be returning. Okay. And reportedly got the boot. Now, Contessa is saying that she left because she felt like she was being displayed in an unfavorable way. Pause, hit the brakes, beep, beep. I've interviewed enough reality stars to know if they showed it, you did it. If they showed it, you said it. Okay. Contessa, I need you to really look at your behavior. You have been, the last season, you were extremely negative. That's what you did. That's what you said. And when you first came on, and I know her argument is, I wanted them to show me as a doctor. Well, first of all, you quit your job to be a stay-at-home mom. Okay. And then like the second or third year, I think the second year you were on, third year, you went back to school. So you were not necessarily performing full time as a doctor. And then when you did decide to go back the third year, when you decided to go back to being a medical provider, the third year, you were building out your office space. Girl, we don't want to see that. Bravo did exactly what they needed to do. Goodbye. See you soon. See you later. You brought your marriage to the camera. You told us that your husband was mistreating you. You brought that. So you can't get mad that they showed it on television. Okay? I think they showed exactly what you gave them. You didn't give doctor. We know you're one, but that's not what you were giving us. You were giving us trouble in paradise. I think that's a great move. You know, now Phaedra is coming on. I don't really know how to feel about this because I feel like Phaedra has been trying to get in where she fit in for the past 2 years. I know she wanted in on the Real Housewives of Dubai. No, ma'am. right? And then she went to marriage boot camp. Okay. Now she's coming in on Married to Medicine. Phaedra is not married to Medicine. Phaedra is allegedly dating Medicine. I really want them to get back to married. I think when we have couple dynamics, it's excellent. So with Phaedra coming on, she will be the second single lady on the cast next to Quad. Okay. And y'all say, well, Phaedra's dating. She's still single. If you're not married, you're single. All right. So here's what I love. They are bringing Dr. G back and his wife to be. Oh, y'all, this is chess, not checkers. I see what Bravo is doing. Y'all, okay, they are putting Quads back against the wall. It's going to force two things. Either it's going to force her out or force her to open up. Because let me tell you something. I don't care how cool and confident Quad appears to be. It ain't nothing to shake you up mentally by watching your ex move on a television show that you'll be on as a single woman. Number one, it's going to force you to show your man, or it's going to put you as lonely and single. I will be tuning in, and I need to see Quad's reaction. I need to see them put Quad in a room. I need to see all of that. I don't want her to be able to pick and choose and not engage in and or interact in group dynamics. If so, she got to go. She got to go because she's not married to Medicine anyway. So why is she really here? And I think she's really here because she gave a good persona. But I cannot wait to see Dr. G and his wife to be and them getting married on camera and all of the other ladies checking on Quad and saying, Quad, are you okay? Quad, are you okay? Are you okay, Quad? It's going to force her hand. Either you're in or you're out. But one way or the other, I cannot wait to see it. I don't think adding Phaedra will bring anything dynamic. I just don't. So that's all I have for you today. What are your thoughts? Feel free to push back, share in the chat.